She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Forbes can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
These got me buzzing.
Up the Toffees. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm just not even gonna comment on that. Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. A little special Monday edition here. Had to accommodate for the other type of football with Super Bowl Sunday. We
Real
won't have to get
football.
into that at all. As a member of our pod lost a dearly beloved yesterday in terms of his season. Mike, I'll go to you first to give Nick a little bit of time to compose himself. But how are we doing? Is that a cheeky PSV kit there?
It is, dude. Yep. Had a good weekend. A little football yesterday. For the real soccer fans out there, it was AFCON Sunday. Forget about the Super Bowl. PSV kit. Pepe scored this weekend, and I think they won like 5-2. So good game. Had to represent.
Yeah, as PSV usually does. They are on a heater, as people would say. Nick, only one important game Sunday, and it was the mighty Arsenal.
Yeah. Yes, Arsenal win. I'm sad. I'm a sad boy today. But also focus on the positives. 6-0 doesn't happen often, so we'll get into it.
Yeah, you gotta have a glass half full type mentality, and the glass was all but overflowing in that game. But Mike, like you said, AFCON and the Asian Cup both wrapped up with Qatar winning as the host in the Asian Cup. 3 penalties at home in Qatar. Listen, I'm not gonna say anything about it. But are we all on the same page here that there's some questions to be asked?
Ever
It's
since my car
fishy.
got stolen, I'm no longer gonna criticize the Middle East. So, fair play.
Mike?
Yeah, I'll choose my words carefully as well. 2 of the 3 pens were pens. The third one, it was a decision, and the decision went their way. So, enough said there. Their second AFC win in a row. They won the last competition back in 2019. So, they're dominating over in Asia right now. Good run from Jordan. They were the underdogs of the tournament, and they had a few guys who put on a hell of a performance. Just came up a little short. The AFCON, though, another host victory, the Ivory Coast. And I don't know how much you boys paid attention to the story of the tournament, but they finished third in their group in the group stage.
Fired their coach.
And they fired their coach. Yeah, they were set to go home until Ghana conceded twice in stoppage time, and they leapt them in third place positioning because 4 of the 6, I believe, third place teams of those groups went on to the knockout stage. So they just hung on by the skin of their teeth, fired their coach, appointed the caretaker, and then really just had a run of form throughout the rest of the tournament. Knocked out Senegal in the round of 16, who were favorites. Went down a goal here against Nigeria, and then just had enough to get back. The man of the tournament, for the Ivory Coast at least, Sebastian Haller, who came back from cancer last year, scored to get them through in the semifinal with a great goal, and then scored the winner here in the final, which was just an absolute scenes. Everybody in the stadium, so loud, so beautiful to watch. And the Brighton man, Simon Adingra, assisted both goals in the final. So a little nod to the Premier League there. Congrats to both Ivory Coast and Qatar. First time paying close attention to the AFCON. Won't be my last.
Yeah, that is a storybook stuff with Haller. One, just his story before this, but for him to come up at home with the heroics is something to write about there. Obviously, Nigeria, a hell of a squad they brought and not able to get it done. I know a lot of people were thinking they would be the ones to get it done there, and really the same in Asia, where South Korea and Japan both fell out rather early in that one. So some upsets in both those tournaments. Also, some upsets happening in Germany. Leverkusen, a quick shout out to their kit. They have one of the prettiest kits. That black and red kit is so nice.
Nice.
But not as nice as how they play. I have not watched that much Leverkusen. I've watched maybe a game or two, but not really that keyed in on them. The way they play, especially against a team the quality of Bayern, with their passing and how Xabi Alonso has them just so calm on the ball, splitting defenders like it is absolutely nothing, with little touches, little passes through the defense, and getting just crazy good attacks off of amazing passes. Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso are a team to really look out for. A 3-0 victory versus Bayern Munich is certainly a statement. Nick, to cheer you up, Harry Kane goes over to Bayern Munich, and this may be the first time in like 30 years that they do not win a trophy, and I think it may be longer than 30 years. I'm being a bit conservative on that. Do you feel it at all bad for Harry Kane on that?
What?
Brother needed a
Bad?
trophy.
God no. What? He has the Audi Cup. I thought that ended the drought. What happened to Audi Cup celebrations? No, I don't feel bad. What? Are you kidding me? Take the man out of the Spurs. You can't take the Spurs out of the man. And listen, just like Harry Kane, everyone else on Bayern, by the way, looked horrible that game. I mean, yeah, yes, Bayer Leverkusen walked all over them, but Bayern got walked on. Like they played shit. Thomas Muller was pissed after the game. Um, he went like full villain mode, like saying it's on the players. Like so much talk about Tuchel and the managers and the coaching staff, but that they've been playing horrible. And he was 100% right that game because not for a second did it look like Bayern would even have a chance in that game. Like nothing positive to speak of. Leverkusen walked all over him in the arguably title deciding game. That is pathetic from Bayern. Um, and yeah, feels like that DNA brought over from North London has something to do with it. So just one man's opinion.
Mike, I think Harry Kane, I wouldn't say he's at all to blame. He's been amazing for Bayern. I think the man
That's
to
what they say
blame,
everywhere.
and I am worried and a bit shocked that he is not getting more blame, is Thomas Tuchel. I have said for a long time I do not think he is an amazing manager. He has always struggled with getting goals. That's what happened at Chelsea. They were a very defensively sound team, but struggled to get goals. Bayern Munich now, I mean, out of every competition really that they could realistically win, obviously Champions League with the form they're in, you don't suspect they're going to do anything there. The league obviously is a huge loss. It puts them 5 beneath the hottest team in Europe. Why is Thomas Tuchel still the manager? Julian Nagelsmann was fired because he lost a game that put them only 3 points above Dortmund last year. Where is that same cutthroat mentality that has led to Bayern getting trophies every single year? And why are they just letting Tuchel play this way and drop points like crazy?
Couldn't give you a great answer on this. It seems like he's just been their target for a 5-year period. They wanted Tuchel, and they were willing to do whatever to get him. So they fired Nagelsmann, even though he was getting performances, still in the Champions League, still in Pokal, still in Bundesliga, and probably would have won 2 trophies, not just the Bundesliga last year if they let him ride out. So they wanted him for some reason. They see something. Maybe it's a Champions League success that he's had as a manager with Chelsea. Not exactly sure. I don't think, going back to Harry Kane, I don't think he is entirely without blame. In the system that they played against Leverkusen, both of their fullbacks are so high up the pitch, playing in a lot of crosses, and that's where their attacks are coming from. And he's dropping so deep in the midfield, he's not providing a target. So that style of play is never going to work at all. Maybe that's Thomas Tuchel's tactics. So maybe it comes back to him. But if you're going to play that
Kind of
style of
taught
ball,
him too.
you need the
But
striker in the
that's
box.
why Harry Kane is so good. Is he drops back, he can both play progressive passing and get the shots and get the finishes. So I
I
think if you're
agree.
Tuchel, you have to work around Harry Kane. You don't work
That's his
around
skill set.
Mazraoui and
I'm
Alfonso
sorry.
Davies.
You
But
can't, dude. You can't
the
say that he's not to
tactics,
blame. Mike's
the
100% right because in that game, like, yes, the tactics were wrong. You're right. Tuchel is inflexible, which has screwed him many times. But also, if you're Harry Kane, one of the best nines, if not the best nine in the world, like, you have to understand that dropping into the midfield is doing nothing. And you have to understand who you're supposed to be in that specific game plan. There was zero happening through that midfield. Zero happening. So him dropping down, adding an extra body is not going to do that much. And it's also taking away from the areas that they were getting a little bit of joy. It still wasn't great, but they were getting down the wings partially. And also, why is it Jamal Musiala dropping more down into like the middle? He's a creator who can run way more than Harry Kane can. So I to say the players are at fault, yes, they're being put in wrong positions. The tactics aren't great, but they have to take some blame because that was awful.
was. You
Yeah,
have
I
to play to
think
the tactics. You have a skill set, but you have to play with how the tactics are set up. That's just how you have some sort of success. Didn't work out that time.
Yep. I think anytime you get, I don't know if I use this word, but embarrassed here. I think for Bayern standards, even though Leverkusen is a great team, and I think can certainly do this, and I don't think it's a shock. For Bayern standard, it is embarrassing. I think a lot of the blame goes to Tuchel, but I think anytime that a team gets beaten this badly and this comprehensively, yes, some blame certainly goes to the players because man the arena. You're the one out there actually playing. You have to be responsible for your actions there. But they were not the only team that were in a title fight with a maybe unexpected team, except in Spain it went quite the opposite way. Madrid showed why they are Madrid with a huge 4-0 win versus Girona. Vinicius, Bellingham, Rodrigo. They invested in young, crazy good talent. It is certainly paying off. Has been really since they invested in them, let's be honest, but started off early with Vinny Jr. getting on the board, and then you knew Jude Bellingham
It's
in a
him.
big game was going to score. He is him. Girona, now they're a bit far back of competing with Real Madrid. Was there really ever a chance with Real Madrid, and especially with the rumors of Mbappe going there, is there any chance for anyone to unseat Madrid at this point?
I don't think so. Not this season. That was Girona's chance right there. And the way Madrid's playing, they're not going to drop points the rest of the year. And if they add Mbappe this next summer, it's looking grim for the rest of the teams.
Everyone?
Barcelona, Atletico. Yeah, exactly.
For Europe.
Going back to Vinny, though, what a performance. That first goal was a banger, and both those assists were outstanding. He was easily the player of the match. That was an all-time performance.
Nick, where do you see Vinny as a world ranking in terms of wingers? Where do you put him at? Top 5, top 10?
Three, something like that. I don't know. Right after, I mean, Salah is the one. He's just been doing it for too long. You can't disrespect him and say he's not. Um,
Cade Cowell
more
too.
output, more output than a guy like Saka, obviously. Um, yeah, off the top of my head too. I'd have to look at it a little bit more, but also Winger feels a little, I don't know, dry. Not as many superstars as there used to be. I think we were spoiled with Messi and Neymar for a while. So,
For
um,
sure.
yeah, I'd say 2, 3, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah, he's certainly a rising star. I think Mbappe, do you consider him a winger, or are you just considering him a striker?
I consider him
He's
like a
certainly
striker
a key playing
still.
striker. Yeah,
Yeah,
Goal scorer. Yeah.
he's
yeah.
just him.
He's
Him is
definitely
his
not a true
position.
winger. Yeah.
No, I mean he's just fucking insanely good. You put him at left back, and he's going to be the best player on the pitch too. Just get that man the ball and watch him
That's
sprint
Kamavinga's role,
by.
Flex.
That's what
Kamavinga's
Arteta thinks of Zinchenko.
Kamavinga's the bus driver, the team chef, the coach. He's everything. But they have a hell of a good young squad there in Madrid. So adding Mbappe's, we could be getting back to Galacticos, Ronaldo type times where they are just winning everything and anything. So for the rest of Spain, GG's. You guys certainly tried while you could. Not so much Barcelona. They got another draw this weekend. Xavi is having a tough time, but we don't need to rag on him too much. Let's get into the featured games, and we start with another manager that we like to rag on and certainly creates some big stories. It is Manchester United. We asked who would show up. Would it be the real Rasmus Højlund? Boys, 17 minutes in, Rasmus Højlund opens the scoring here, but Douglas Luiz ties it up. He's been amazing this season, but there's no Manchester United goal quite like a Scott McMuffin 86th-minute winner. That is just absolute peak Manchester United, how they have been, how they have won so many games this season. A 2-1 win versus Aston Villa. We said going into this would be a big one. How big do you see this as a momentum shift in Manchester? Although not really moving them crazy up and down the table here, a win against a good side that I don't think we would have expected, really. Mike?
Yeah, it's a huge win. Definitely a momentum shifter. They didn't play all that well if you watch this game, but the points are the points, and they walked away with all three. So that's really what matters. They withstood a lot that Aston Villa threw at them this game.
Their goal differential is up to 0 now.
Up to 0. Congrats, Manchester. You are doing the most, or doing the least. Onana had a good game. Couple of great saves this game. So got to give him his props when you can, because it's not very often. But
You seem to have given his props a lot.
Yes, I am a proponent of Andre Onana. But he did still have one memeable moment where he got caught talking to two players on a John McGinn free kick, and he tried to go near post on him. It was about 5 yards wide, but Onana made sure to get his hands on it and give away a corner anyway. So class Andre Amadou's later. Yeah. They withstood it, and Scott McTominay, he's their secret weapon at the moment. They throw him on in the last 10 minutes of the game, and he almost plays as a second striker. And that's really where they can win these games, is set pieces and crosses into the box where they have a little bit of size. Great header, way to get the 3 points. Nick, what did you see from Aston Villa? I'm sure they wanted more this game.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you lose 3 points at home, especially, is tough. I thought they played well. I thought they had a good game. I thought the ball didn't go in for them a couple times. A couple of Douglas Luiz, you're right, had a great has been having a great season, scored a good goal. He also was wasteful on a couple of other opportunities. Honestly, he could have had a brace, maybe even a hattie today. Maybe if they fall on his right foot, who knows? But yeah, I thought they played well. I don't think you could be that undone if you're Aston Villa. I know your current run of form isn't where you've been, but I do think the principles were there. They're playing the way that they're committed to playing. Attacking, get the fullbacks high up the pitch, create a lot of chances. They were pretty open defensively. It got back and forth during moments there, but really outside of the first 15 minutes, they felt like the much better team. So shout out to Man U for capitalizing early. They needed to. And I mean, I don't know if you could say they deserve the 3 points, but they got them. So that's all that matters.
I mean, that's been the story of the season for Manchester United, is maybe not deserving it, but getting it. For Aston Villa, though, I would say that although they might not be disappointed in how they played, I mean, the result, it's against Manchester United as an English team going up against the pinnacle, biggest name in historical English football. In such a great season, you want to have that win on your resume to say, yeah, we beat them. We had such a great season. To still lose to them, I feel like is a bit of a bummer for them. I think it does something psychologically that even though you're on some hot form, you don't beat that big team. Nick, I see you're queued up to have a quip.
Unai in his post game said something similar of like the mighty Man U. Are we calling them the mighty Man U? But yeah, for sure, it's a win that they wanted on their resume. It's a disappointment to not get the 3 points. On the other side, regardless of the performance, huge confidence boost for Hoyland, who's on a run of form, but for Man U as a whole.
Yeah. Hats off to Hoyland. He has been killing it recently. A whole lot of goals for a man that was on quite the dry spell to start the season. We've moved to another guy that got rid of his dry spell. Maybe not as long or as causing of doubts, but Erling Haaland broke the Toffees' hearts here. It was late, 71st minute, and then just 85th minute. Man, it's a tough one to watch. There's absolutely bodying Everton down the table. But I will say, Mike, this is what we kind of expected. So, is it really anything too crazy? I think the biggest thing is the result we'll talk about later that happened with Luton and Sheffield. So, is this something that you really drop your morale on, or is this something that, yeah, fuck it, it was gonna happen?
Mike, did you
Didn't
even
happen
watch
that
the
bad.
game?
We on.
I did end up watching the game. I couldn't stay away. I'm a glutton for punishment. I should have just stayed in bed, but instead I stayed in bed and turned on the TV, which is a terrible combo. Um, yeah, man. I knew I shouldn't expect much, but Everton has a certain way of keeping you in the game until the 70th minute and then just crushing your fucking dreams because it looked like we were walking away with a point. It was there. I was like, oh, we're withstanding what they're throwing. We're really minimizing their lethal attacks. They're not getting anything directly on goal. This is a good
First shot, yeah.
performance. And then you see who's warming up on the bench. You see Pep getting a little flustered, and you see a certain ginger man sitting in the back row, and you go, "Oh shit, this is about to get real." And then De Bruyne comes on, and then the other guys come on. Bernardo Silva comes on, and then one ball gets loose to the Norwegian man, and it doesn't matter if it's on his weak foot. He'll hit one at you. He'll hit it hard, and it goes into the back of the net. And then after that, the wheels just kind of came off. We're chasing a goal. We're never going to get it. Not with these guys we have out there right now. Good to see Onana back in the midfield. If he was healthy to start, I think that would have been huge, having his physicality. Garner and Gay both put in solid performances, but he's just a cut above both of them. But the real stinker of the game was what happened to my poor boy Jared Branthwaite. He's been a stud, a rock in the back all year, and he got the Erling Haaland treatment on full effect. A little shoulder to shoulder, and he ate the dirt. That was a tough one to watch. It's happened to all sorts of players, including Haaland's teammate Ruben Diaz back in the day. You just don't want to run with that man, do you?
No, that is top list of what you do not want to do with Erling Haaland, and he certainly learned his lesson. Got a little weight roomed there. Nick, from a
Is
Man
Holland
City
like just a
perspective,
fucking unit? Is that?
Yeah.
days.
Isn't he the
What-
fucking
what-
creepy looking blonde? man?
Imagine
Yeah,
stacking
yeah.
2 refrigerators on top of each other and then adding hair. That's what Erling Haaland is.
Yeah,
Imagine
then
like
pushing it
a-
down a heel.
God, he
Thinner
looks so
Derrick
fucking
Henry
weird.
playing soccer.
Um,
Yeah. Mike, or not Mike, Nick, from a Man City perspective,
Oh,
Kevin De
yeah.
Bruyne is back and he's getting a goal or an assist every game, if not multiple. Erling Haaland is scoring. I mean, he was scoring, but this is back to more of the form you expect of just getting braces, getting so many goals. One shot is all he needs, bouncing defenders off him. Man City are just now clicking on every cylinder with everybody back. Is it their league to lose at this point?
Of course, it always was. The only word that comes to mind when you think of Man City, inevitable. It's the same fucking word that was going through my head as I'm watching Patrick Mahomes play against my team last night. Like, it's just Holland, De Bruyne especially, you just can't. It's so frustrating as a fan that, like, you can do so many right things and, like, as a team, like, you can have the right culture, you can assemble a good unit, have them playing well together, all these things, make good decisions, get off of people on the right time, all this stuff, and then if someone just has that one dude, you just don't have that dude. And there is no team in the world right now, at least on the Prem, that has that guy outside of Man City, and that's De Bruyne. And then you toss in Holland, and you toss in the rest. Like he's a cut above everyone, and so he's the ultimate equalizer. And when it gets to nut cutting time, they're champions, bro. They've done it over and over. They've been there. They don't sweat under the pressure. I hate Patrick Mahomes. Like, it just pisses me the hell off, bro. You do not understand, like, the primal feelings that I got watching both Man City and the Chiefs yesterday. Like, there's just nothing you can do, and it sucks to not have that guy, and it sucks to know the outcome. And of course, I'm gonna keep getting my hopes up, and it's not gonna matter because they have him and we don't.
That is truly sports in a nutshell.
How painful
Sometimes
that
people
was.
just have that guy. Speaking of Kevin De Bruyne here, and this is getting a little off track. We'll get back to the next game in a second, but that kind of brought up a good point. Does this further a Kevin De Bruyne Ballon d'Or campaign? Without KDB in, Man City were bleeding. They looked like they could be beaten. They looked like somebody else could win the title finally. And with him back, it looks like Thanos with fucking 50 Infinity Stones. Like, he is just pulling the strings like a master puppeteer, like none other. Every ball he plays in is just curved straight to somebody's foot for an amazing chance, or splitting 8 defenders. Does it just show that with him, although it's a super team, he is that huge difference that makes them so good? Is that just a huge, huge point in making people maybe give him that Ballon d'Or here?
I don't know. It's a Euro summer, so that's going to play into it for sure. Those international tournaments always carry too much weight. And I don't think we're finding out anything that we didn't know about De Bruyne. It's just being reinstated. He's the guy. He's the guy. If he has a tournament this summer, like Luka Modric had in 2018, yeah, why the hell not?
Also, it does not matter. Like, Mahomes didn't win the MVP, but it doesn't matter. They're that guy. You can
Wait,
give
Mahomes
awards
didn't
to
win
other
MVP?
people. It doesn't mean shit. All, like, you know who the best is in
Not
the
regular
world,
season.
and that's him
Oh.
right now. That's it.
He won
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP though, surely.
Shut up,
Yeah, he
Palmer.
was.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just
Yeah,
confused.
Palmer. Rubbed some salt in there. I feel bad after Palmer rubbed some salt in. We are gonna rub some more in
Bro,
because
McCaffrey had
Spurs.
one hell of a game.
Palmer, stop talking to me.
Please stop bringing up the game. This poor man
Jennings?
has gone through enough. Tottenham, Brighton. Let's get to that. Maybe slightly less painful, but Tottenham came back after Brighton were looking very good with a goal early, 1-0. But then it is Sarr and a late goal by Brennan Johnson to give Tottenham the win. Oh, man, Spurs squeak this one out. Mike, squeaking one out versus Brighton here, you're getting players back like Son, and you're going to have them now get back into the Premier League form. Are Tottenham in a better place than Aston Villa to lock down a 4th position, you think, here?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the one we should compare him to. Aston Villa, Spurs, and Man U. I think those are the 3 that we talk about the rest of the season for that 4th spot, 5th spot. It'll be those 3. And yeah, this was a Spursy fucking win. Nothing pretty about it. Not deserved in the slightest. Brighton came out controlling this game. They should have been more clinical and just put him away early. Vicario was saving their ass. Vicario has been phenomenal all season. He was great this game. Jason Steele on the other side was great for Brighton. Um, and yeah, then some Spursy shit happens. They have those guys back. Sar's back in the midfield. Basuma made an appearance. Son made an appearance. Sar's goal is a little fluky. Spursy goal. And then Son, instant impact, comes on, instantly changes the dynamic of the game. Spurs is getting more of the ball. And then, like you said, in the dying seconds of the game, he gets free down that left wing and he plays a beautiful ball to Brennan Johnson on the back post to walk away with all three. It was a gutsy game. There could have been more goals on Brighton's side for sure. So 3 points. And we said it with Man U. It's all about the results. But this is going to serve them well going into the crunch time.
Yep. And Nick, from a Brighton perspective, they're a bit of an enigma because they are a smaller club that maybe doesn't have crazy expectations, but after what they did last season, you'd expect that to be a little bit higher than how they're playing now. It's another game where I think they played pretty well. They usually have a pretty good playing style, but there's no more excuses of they're playing in Europe and the depth is really getting to them and all this. They're just not getting results. How concerned are you of their play? They're just not getting results. I think that's just kind of the main headline for them.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Spurs didn't have their best day, so felt like an opportunity for Brighton. I don't think Spurs played horrible, if I'm being honest, but they definitely weren't at their top. Like they weren't at their best. Um, Brighton just, I mean, the definition, whatever the opposite of clinical is, that's like the picture on the dictionary. Like that was Brighton because they just could not fucking buy a goal. Even their well-deserved goal, by the way, from the first 20-25 minutes of domination, that was even a penalty. They definitely missed João Pedro this game, so he's been their most clinical man, and it's a big deal. De Zerbi was also out this game, so I don't know, maybe that's something there because their tactics really did fall off after the half hour mark. They weren't counter pressing like they usually do. They honestly were just kind of trying to maintain and absorb, and it hurt them at the end. Can't play soft like that. So, yeah, the more concerning thing if you're Brighton is that's one win in their last 10 away Premier League games. That is not good enough to be considered
Oof.
up there. Okay, so they need to figure out what's going on away from home. I think because they play such attractive football, they also don't know how to really see out games. Like they either win like 3-0 or they lose, or win like 3-2 or they lose. Like they need to have a little bit more game control in mind. That's an area of growth for De Zerbi, especially if he's going to be linked to some of these bigger jobs. Um, I don't think they do figure it out. I think this is what Brighton is. I think they've proven that time and time again. They're going to have some games where we're really impressed by them, and they're going to have this game pretty often too. So, um, either way, for the club that they are, if they still finish top 10, I think you can still be satisfied. But yeah, for a moment, it felt like this was a team that could take a step. It seems like they're plateauing. Not a bad plateau, but still.
Yeah, a bit of a plateau. I think the positive is that the league is extremely competitive this year, which could help them. But in the inverse, that could certainly hurt them as Chelsea, Wolves nipping at the butt of them, and West Ham, Newcastle potentially could be jumped. But we get into elsewhere in the Premier League, and Nick, this is the positive of the weekend. Arsenal just fucking dog walked West Ham. It was a return by Declan Rice and a whole lot of goals. We could talk about any of them, but Declan Rice's was a absolute banger. Just rolls out to him, knocks it, curls it top corner. I don't even know if I want to call it a curler because it's so much power on it, but damn, what a goal that he does not celebrate. A class act. I mean, it was an absolute thrashing at that point, so I think celebrating it no matter what would have been a bit fucked up, but certainly respectful that he did not celebrate an absolute banger that it was. Nick, bring us through the the unbridled joy I'm sure this one brought you.
Yeah, I mean, my Sunday started so strong, and to think where it ended up, but we'll focus on the positives. You're right. I would not blame Declan for celebrating that goal against anyone else because even if it's 6-0, you score a goal like that, you got to be juiced out of your mind. So, um, shout out to him. I know, by the way, I know Twitter isn't real. I know those aren't real people and they're little trolls and I get it.
Oh
Okay.
God.
More bait.
But the amount of West Ham fans shitting on Declan Rice this season has been so fucking infuriating. This man did everything for your club. And when he goes on to take a bigger step, you immediately turn on him. Like club captain at 19, I think it was. Like, anyways, I was very happy to see him have a goal and 2 assists. So what a player. Incredible. Worth every penny. We should send them an extra 15 million just to be like,
Bro,
thanks again.
stop saying that shit. I have seen so many Arsenal fans saying stupid shit like that all year with every single player you buy. Can we send an extra 15 million to Chelsea after Havertz scored? Can we send an extra 50 million to West Ham? Shut up.
I would like
See
15. I would like 15 back from Havertz. So I'm not going to say that there. But Declan Rice, I honestly feels like a bargain after a 105 million move. So what a year and what a game. Arsenal's best game by far. William Saliba opened up the scoring. That man Bukayo Saka officially double digits in the Prem. Um, I mean, Leo Trossard, who looks like he hasn't slept a single day in his life, is like still arguably Arsenal's most clinical player at the moment. His instinct in the final third is unmatched, makes it look simple, but so hard to defend the way he shifts his weight. It's beautiful. I thought he had a beautiful game in the false nine. Him and Havertz were switching a lot, so incredible tactics by Arteta there. And I mean, they destroyed them. They just every aspect of the game. Arsenal trauma made me feel nervous, honestly, early. Took half an hour to get the goal. And even then, I didn't feel great. I've seen this game before. We had a lot of chances early and they weren't going in, but they flipped the goddamn switch because 6-0 versus a top half team at their stadium. I mean, I know West Ham isn't incredible, but that is a good performance any way you cut it up. This isn't a Sheffield that we beat. This is a very good West Ham team this year. So very, very, very impressed with the boys. I put it out on our Twitter, but Idris Alba, I want you to go out there, tell the world that we're back up, boys.
Arsenal certainly did show their quality there with a huge win. West Ham had their pants pulled down a bit in this one. A very embarrassing 6-0 versus another London club.
We are in talks
Mike-
to get Idris Elba on the pod. We'll see.
Arsenal
We'll see if it works out.
He's very interested in joining our pod because he wants to boost his reputation, and of course, that is what this pod does. But one team that did not boost their reputation, Mike, is Newcastle. They get their 3 points. But man, can they get a convincing result? I don't think I've seen anything from them that's been like, oh, there's the Newcastle that should be based off their talent, who they have there, how they have played. I mean, this game, they were cutting it close versus a Nottingham Forest team that, quite honestly, is just not good.
Sucks.
They suck.
Very bad.
I've been watching them because I'm waiting for Gio Reyna to come on, and I do not understand how this team is not in more danger of being relegated at this point. They were not good. Newcastle was slightly better. Is there a bit of concern about Newcastle? And then we'll get into a little Gio.
No, I'm not too concerned with Newcastle. Yeah, it's a tight score line, but I felt like they had this one in the bag. Their set pieces are really great right now. That's where they're capitalizing on. Fabian Schär's in a purple patch, so that's always helpful to have a center back scoring like that. I think he scored 3 in the last 3 or something crazy like that. It's a little worrisome up top. They have Wilson back at striker, but he's not Isak, So that's a little different style of play for them to adapt to. He worked, but he wasn't overly effective against Nottingham backline. That was obvious. But Nottingham's goals were far from convincing. The first one's a good goal. They slot it through the center backs, and Alanga runs on. That's a tight finish. Hudson-Odoi's is just a crazy deflection that leaves Dubravka stranded. And then Guimaraes with a brace, the first off the set piece, and then the next goal was very good. And that was in the 65th minute mark about. So at that point, they went up and they kind of saw out the rest of the game. Your boy, our boy, the boy of the hour, Gio came on late to try to snatch a goal and get a point. But yeah, man, you could take the lead if you want, but I have a few things to say about Gio, and it's not necessarily all on him, but they're not overly positive.
Yeah, I think the playing time is certainly not great for Gio. I think Alanga and Callum Hudson-Odoi all of a sudden out of nowhere scoring goals. Also not great for him, but yeah, I think there is a bit of worry about Gio Reyna at Nottingham Forest. I think he needs a start. I think it is obviously going to be good for Gio Reyna. I think it'll be good for Nottingham Forest. I don't think that although Alanga and Hudson-Odoi scored, I don't think that they're necessarily ones that keep control in the match. If you look at kind of the possession charts and momentum in the game, once Gio Reyna did come on, Nottingham Forest had a lot more of their momentum, attacking possession, and passing movements that were strung together. That's just kind of what Gio Reyna is, and I just don't think Nottingham Forest play in a winning style most of the time. But Mike, what are you thinking? Are you in the same realm?
Yeah, I'm in the same realm that some of these Nottingham attackers are getting into form, or what's perceived form, with these goals going in at least. That's going to be hard for him to start on the wing. But the biggest issue is with Morgan Gibbs-White still. He's Nottingham's one outstanding performer almost on a weekly basis where you see something that's actually positive from his game. Um, he has the assist for the first goal, really the only quality play from a Nottingham perspective. So that's where I want to see Gio play, and it looks like it's just never going to happen. Um, Maybe in the next FA Cup match he can get a start, but like, do you really want to see him start on the left wing in this style of game? Do you think it's going to be productive at all, or are we just going to see him forced to play a style of football that doesn't suit him?
I think it's going to come down to Nuno realizing that you brought in a guy to try and help you in the relegation battle. You're going to have to somewhat adjust. And honestly, I think the adjustment might help Nuno's style because he is so much more possession based and wanting to play around with the ball. That is exactly Gio, but I think it's going to create Gio Reyna and Gibbs White interchanging on the wing and inside a lot more than what goes on with an Alanga or Hudson-Odoi. We will
Hey,
definitely keep our
really quick,
eyes.
really quickly, the whole Nuno being a possession guy isn't super true. He likes building out of the back and playing with the ball at feet, but he's also like a very attacking, like counters
Yeah,
kind of guy. So he's not trying to keep like 55, 60% possession. He's trying to like move forward. Gio, I think, can function in that, but only as a 10. He's not working in that system as a winger, in my opinion. You gotta question Gio's team of this being the move that they go with. Reportedly, there was a ton of interest, and it, I know it's early, but signs don't look great.
yeah. I think you wait to the next game if he's not getting a start or getting more than the 15 minutes that he was getting at Dortmund in the first place. It may be something you say, yeah, you're in the Premier League and you've shown that you aren't out of place there by any means, but you're not able to prove really anything there. So eyes are certainly on Gio Reyna as we go into the next game for Nottingham Forest, and eyes are just on Nottingham Forest because they have been ass. But we move to a team that maybe surprised us a bit. Maybe surprised me is the more accurate thing to say. Brentford with a 2-0 win over Wolves. Wolves lost Cunha early in this one, so I think that hurt them quite a bit as he's been on some good form for them. But Of course, Ivan Toney gets on the score sheet, and Brentford are getting a big result for them. They were in some tough form for a long time. Get a win here that gets them to, I think, a safe spot, a place where they feel comfortable. Nick, this is like Palmer's Super Bowl. You can feel free to rub in the salt.
Is it?
Actually targeting someone else here. My name's Flags, and I'm winning the pick'em, so I know ball.
That is true. I did
Wolves
say
are a
as soon
lot
as he
to win
picked,
this game.
I did say I was nervous as soon as he picked us.
I am in the
Listen.
lead. Everybody gets them wrong every now and then. I'm only human.
Palmer, did you see his insurance that Cunha got injured early?
Yeah, dude,
Like,
he had to put that out there.
I'm recapping the game. I don't
No
know
ball
what you're
knowledge.
trying to get at.
No ball knowledge.
listen, it just on behalf of certain hosts that will go unnamed, an apology to Palmer Cleaver and his Wolves side for getting your hopes up unnecessarily. Because despite the results, Brentford has looked much better with Ivan Toney back. Um, it was never going to be a for sure win, as one host promised you. But regardless, regardless,
This
it was.
is absolutely slanderous.
Listen, man, you gotta own it. um, but funny nonetheless. Ivan Toney is the main man again. What a story he's having on his return. Victor Osimhen, 1 goal in AFCON. Bring me Tony. That is my man in the summer.
This man is Katy Perry, hot and cold with his strikers that he wants. He was out on Tony, in on Osimhen.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Out
whoa,
on
whoa, whoa,
Osimhen,
whoa, whoa.
back
When
in
was
on
I out on
Tony.
Tony? When was pull up the receipts?
I swear, like 2 pods ago,
No,
you said,
I said
actually, I don't
said
think I want
out on
Tony
Isak.
anymore.
I said out on Isak. Mike can vouch.
I know
I
you
think
said
the
out on
Tony-
Isak. I think
the
you said
context of
something
the-
about Tony.
Context of being out on Tony was the 100 million, but he's never said he's out on
Oh.
Tony, aside from money reasons.
He's not going for 100 million. He has 100, or sorry, he has 1 year left on his contract. Get him in for 55, 60. Let's pool.
I don't think he's going for 55, 60. I think he's
Yeah, you
continually
also
bringing
thought
that
Wolves were
price
going to
up.
easily win this game, so.
Hey, you pay an extra 50 million for Mr. Declan Rice. Why don't you just give it on over to Brentford here? As Arsenal fans love to say on Twitter, oh, we should pay him even more for this player. So I'm sure the Arsenal fans will
Stop getting triggered by Twitter, Jared. Relax.
Yeah, it is just absolutely foolish for me to get triggered by people on Twitter. I know that neither of you would ever have that happen to you. We move into the Premier League score cleanup, the games that happened. But do we really care that much? Not really. But one of these games, actually, we do. Fulham versus Bournemouth here. Could have been a fun matchup if Tyler Adams was healthy with 3 Americans in it. He is not. Fulham get a 3-1 victory here. Good for them. I think both these teams are really very level teams. So I think if you played this game 10 times, it could go 10 different ways. We move on to Liverpool Burnley. This one I tried to jinx by saying Liverpool just absolutely win this. There's no way they lose. For a second there, they were drawn. It was 1-1. And I said, oh shit, my dark magic has worked. Nope. Darwin Núñez puts the cherry on top of this one. 3-1, and Liverpool remain top of the table here. Chelsea today almost made Nick a happy man by losing their game to Crystal Palace, a Crystal Palace side that we have talked quite a bit about how they have been playing pretty bad. But Conor Gallagher, the man, the myth, the legend, gets a brace, including one in the 90th plus 1 minute. Enzo Fernandez, just stat padding, gets a third one. What a stat patter that guy is. But he
Banger.
gets his goal in the 90th plus for Crystal Palace. This is just a demoralizing loss. You have a 1-0 win. And Conor Gallagher's the man that takes that away from you. Man, sucks to suck, man. We move into the final game of the cleanup, and this one actually did matter quite a bit. I felt this was a huge win for us as Toffees. Sheffield United beat Luton Town, a Luton Town team that was competing with anyone and everybody for some random fucking reason. And my pleas to Austin Trusty, although he did not start, must have paid off because they get a win. Sheffield United gets a win, gets a 13 points, and Luton Town stays only 1 point above Everton with a game in hand. Only 1 point above. So I think that's a huge, huge win for Everton. They didn't think we were going to get points against Man City, so this was the real result to watch for us. Mike, sweet, sweet victory this weekend, eh?
Yeah, and I'm eating my words. I made some non so subtle comments last pod saying that Luton was going to annihilate Sheffield. And I was proven wrong. Sheffield only scored from a penalty. So apparently they are not the most prolific team in the league. I was wrong.
The most prolific team in the league is certainly a stretch even on their good form. But, I'm sure that the Luton fans out there will love your optimism. That was all of our results for the week. The U.S. men's national team corner. It was a good weekend. It was filled up. One, Palmer, if you could just search up AC Milan fourth kit, they dropped some amazing looking kits. Milan, obviously a fashion city, but man, these ones look so nice, even better on the pitch. Yes, that black one there. Yeah, they looked awfully nice out there with Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa both getting a good amount of minutes. Pulisic with the start in their game this weekend.
Those are fire.
Yeah, those are some nice jerseys. So those ones, Leverkusen, some good jerseys this weekend. I'm going to pull a Mike Tracy here in the U.S. men's national team corner. I'm going to bring up some sad news, and then we're going to bring it back up. The sad news, Daryl Dike came back in for West Brom, just working his way back from injury, and he ends up getting injured again. Fabrizio Romano did confirm the sad report that he has tore his Achilles again.
Jesus Christ.
He cannot get a break. When he is healthy, he is a just insanely strong striker, insanely good at hold of play, was scoring a lot in the championship, has not had any luck with injuries. Very sad to see there. Bringing it back up, though, Josh Sargent in that same championship, scoring every damn week in every way possible. He is very good. This time a soaring header in their game. He's only played 11 games. I believe he has 6 goals now. He is scoring like crazy for Norwich, and he is continuing his hot form. I think he's certainly wiggling his way into some conversations that can be had. Another guy that's wiggling his way into conversations is Taylor Booth. He was out of conversations for a while. He was not playing that great, but in the last 2 games, he had the hat trick that we mentioned last pod, had a brace in his next game. He is absolutely killing it now, getting back to the form that he was on that created a lot of hype around him in the first place. And another person that has a bit of backup form, I think it was a tough game and a great game for him. Balogun got a penalty goal in their Copa de France loss. The loss came as although Balogun scored a penalty in regular time, he missed his penalty in the penalty shootout.
Yikes.
He has not been great from the penalty spot, missed 2 penalties earlier this year for Monaco as well, so he gets his first goal since November, but I wouldn't say his confidence is going to be at an all-time high after that big penalty miss in the shootout. Pepe, as Mike mentioned, gets a goal as well, so the strikers are scoring like crazy. And a striker turned winger, Haji Wright, who has been moved to winger for Coventry City in the championship, has reached double-digit goals. It is now his 5th consecutive season of reaching double-digit goals. No matter where he goes, he has been scoring a lot of goals, 11 goals. I believe he has 3 or 4 assists for Coventry this year. He's playing very well, got a brace this weekend. Potentially some winger depth. I don't think the winger depth is that crazy deep for the U.S. right now, and certainly makes an argument to be playing there. But certainly Cade Cowell and his blonde mullet down in Mexico also has something to say as he got a brace for Chivas as well. And what would be a U.S. men's national team corner of recent memory without saying that Johnny played amazing and got a man of the match performance for Real Betis? It's just what the man does. Mike,
Start.
is he working his way in it? Do we break up the Musa, McKennie, and Reyna to throw in a CDM?
Johnny, yes, papa. I think we put him in the midfield, dude.
All right. Johnny Football. Nick, if we are putting him in the midfield, who are you taking out?
Musa? I'd take out Musa. Take out Musa. McKennie's just too informed. I like Musa's profile better, but um,
Yeah.
maybe I mean
McKennie's in some crazy form.
is Gio a bad take to take out? I mean, goddamn, he's not playing, but still, I believe our most creative player. I don't know. I think he's got to start. He's been incredible, and for a team like Betis, that is a big team in Spain. For him to be starting and playing to the level that he's playing at, he needs to get some love. I know there's other options. Obviously, Captain Tyler Adams still recovering. Obviously, De La Torre is also having a good season. The three guys you mentioned, but he might be the most informed American in the world right now. So I would say he needs a place in the Copa.
Oh,
Dude.
certainly he's played his way into that, I'd suppose.
Give us some midfield diamond. Let Dest and Anthony run down those wings. I'm thinking the diamond. That's where our strongest players are.
What are you putting Balogun and Pulisic up top then?
Yeah, or Weah and Pulisic. Depends on who's really firing.
It's a horrible take.
In terms of firing, Weah has not been firing much, although he did get the start today for Juventus in their loss to Udinese.
Oh, actually, better take. Put Weah right back. I don't mind that.
I don't hate that
Over
at all.
Sergino Dest?
Yeah, don't hate that. In that
Sergino Dest
4-4-2
is
that he's talking about.
amazing.
In that 4-4-2 he's talking about. They're not going to do that.
All right. Yeah, there's definitely I think this is like the first time in maybe a while that the US men's national team has truly had players that you could go off of just full form and say this person has played their way in rather than just Pulisic's better. Yeah, Weah's better. Yeah, this center midfielder is better. I think it's about time that with all the players playing in Europe, you have that depth where you can kind of say, shit, this guy's not playing that well, although he has a lot of talent. We got to go off form here and put some people in. I think that's a big step to being a more serious team. And like we mentioned earlier, boys, Qatar won the the Asian Cup. Côte d'Ivoire won the African Cup of Nations. Do you guys know who the host of the Copa America is? Anybody?
You know who's hosting the World Cup?
America.
Oh shit. We're going back to back. We have the Copa and the World Cup.
Whoa.
We are going to win both. It's just kind of how the host thing works. They end up giving it to you.
Tell that to
But-
Qatar in 2022.
Where
Don't-
Halter's
don't-
like extra motivation.
Yeah. Finals in New Jersey, so Berhalter with that extra motivation, I'm sure will cook up something amazing to get us one goal in the tournament again. And somehow with that one goal, we will make it all the way to the final and win it. But Nick, we close here today. What are your closing thoughts? What are you leaving the world with until our next pod far in the future of tomorrow?
Yeah, I would just like to give myself some credit for not asking for credit earlier, because if you remember, I had that take about Sheffield versus Luton. So shout out to me for not wanting the spotlight on my takes while the two of you have shit takes. So real humble, appreciate myself. Shout out to the San Francisco 49ers, a good season. Can't complain too much. Just came up against greatness, man. Is what it is. And shout out to Arsenal for making me have some joy this weekend. The boys are firing on all cylinders. I can't wait to see where the rest of the season takes us. I'll be by their side the whole time. Up the Gunners.
Mike, you know the routine. Who's dying and Who's got a game this weekend?
We have to get off this.
Ride it to the
I
ground.
I
don't
think this is
know.
our brand.
Christian McCaffrey died because he took so many damn hits and carried the ball so many times. I'm worried for that man's safety. See you, Nick. Shout out the Gunners. Big win. Shout out Everton for trying. That's all we can expect from the boys.
Shout out Sheffield United. How about that?
Shout out Sheffield United for a little help in the relegation battle. We love you. We need you. We support you. And make sure you check out our past vids because our AFCON and AFC coverage this past month has been outstanding. You can't get these takes anywhere else outside of the Ivory Coast and Qatar itself. Check us out on all the socials. Nick is going to war on Twitter. He will debate you on anything. If you say shit about Saka, be prepared for hours and hours of endless battle. Thanks for joining.
Peace.